Hello students, this is Professor McDermott with your video recap of Module 6. Well, I'll save the announcements for the email and news posting, and we'll just go right into these discussions on nationalism. Now, nationalism basically just means the idea that each ethnic group, each culture should have its own nation. But as the 19th century went on, it took on a great many more meanings than that and became an extremely powerful force that continues to affect our modern life today. Group 1 had a reading by a Polish nationalist, the poet Adam Mickiewicz, who's writing in the aftermath of the partition of Poland by Prussia, Russia, and Austria-Hungary, so that the Poles lost their nation. And his document really has extremely religious language that mirrors that of the Bible. And I asked Group 1, why did Mickiewicz choose this kind of language? And Alexis, you had a very nice post on this. You said, I think that Mickiewicz patterns his language after that of the Bible because he is talking about how his Polish people lost their independent nationhood. I think that he did this because it seems that he and the Polish people were devoted Christians, and that it would be easiest for them to understand this by using language from the Bible. He compares Poland to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He said that the Polish nation did not die, that its body lay in the grave, but its spirit ascended from the earth. He says on the third day that the soul shall return to the body, and the nation shall arise and free all the peoples of Europe from slavery. So you see here nationalism with Mickiewicz taking on really religious overtones. And Jaleesa Blackshear, you had a very nice point. It's very similar to the experience of the Jewish people. The Poles had suffered so much, and in fact, they wouldn't get their nation back until 1919 after World War I. And so much like the Jewish people, they cherished the memory of their lost nation and really saw themselves as having a role to play in world history in getting that nation back. And that leads us into question 2. What did Mickiewicz's writings have to do with Poland's past and Europe's future? Caitlin Bowers wrote, well, first of all, the writer goes back and says that the Polish nation worshiped God very, very regularly and seriously. Because of this, he says God rewarded the country of Poland, and Poland was able to marry the country of Lithuania. Just his talking about all of this shows his nationalism towards Poland because he speaks of its past so fondly. As for the future of Europe, this writer's nationalism shows because he believes that Poland will be the one to save Europe. So you see here the idea that the nation is almost like a Messiah, like a Christ who's come to save humanity. Really kind of an extraordinary claim. Question 3, Mickiewicz talks about the issue of interest, and Adam Smith had pioneered the idea that people should act in their own enlightened self-interest, and there was also an idea that nations should do that as well. But Mickiewicz opposed that idea, as Leslie Hall pointed out in her posting. Mickiewicz recognized that the interests of rulers and of other nations were an attempt to feed their own egos, and therefore came to worship the interests. He states that interest became their idol. He also makes the point that Poland did not look to this idol, but rather continued to look to God, and all actions of Poland were done or made to honor him, rather than the interest of the people. So you see your nationalism being used to fight back against this idea that people and nations should simply act in their own interests. Rather, they should act in the interest of God, in the interest of humanity and their own nation. Very good, Group 1. Moving on to Group 2, Giuseppe Mazzini, the great Italian revolutionary, also talks about the relationship between the nation and the cause of all humanity. In the first question, I just asked, what does Mazzini mean by country? He talks about country. This is his master concept, wanting Italy to become one country. And in the group answer, posted by Gabrielle Morgan, who did a nice job as chair, the group said, Mazzini refers to country as the people of the nation united under one ideal. And Kevin Lyon, you had a nice post. You said, Mazzini describes a country as home, a place to set your roots. He goes on to say that, quote, without country you have neither name, token, voice, nor rights, no admission as brothers into the fellowship of the peoples, end quote. And this leads into question 2. What does the good of the country, for Mazzini, have to do with the good of all humanity? And Unpali put it this way, for Mazzini, quote, the good of humanity is dependent on the function of the country, end quote. And so for Mazzini, the cause of humanity, all humanity, is very important. As Caitlin Owens said, you are human first for Mazzini, and then you are a citizen. However, you can only help humanity if you are a part of a strong, united country, Mazzini believes. And Will, you put it nicely, Will Payne. In Duties of Men, Mazzini describes someone without a country as one without name, token, voice, nor rights, and considers them the bastard of humanity. He also refers to them as things, such as soldiers with no banner, saying they will have no faith or protection. So, without country, people are unable to help humanity. It's only when they're able to form a united, powerful nation that then they can go out and help all humanity. What kinds of problems can they then solve? Well, Jasmine, you put it nicely. A united Italy can solve the social problems of the, quote, existence of caste, that is, different social classes where some people are oppressed, privilege, and inequality, end quote. So, for Mazzini, having a strong united Italy is the key to solving all these problems for all of humanity. Well, Mazzini was a liberal nationalist, but with Group 3's reading by Otto von Bismarck, the Chancellor of Germany, we see how nationalism could be and was harnessed by conservatives to advance their own ideas and their own agendas. And I asked Group 3, if Bismarck was so conservative, why did he embrace the cause of universal suffrage? And why did he allow all adult males to vote in Germany? And what did this have to do with his idea of realpolitik? That politics should not be based on idealism, but on power. Ramona, you had an excellent post here. You said, in the first paragraph of our reading, Bismarck states that he had, quote, no hesitation whatsoever. The most powerful ingredient known at the time to liberty mongers, namely universal suffrage, so as to frighten off foreign monarchies from trying to stick a finger into our national omelet. Bismarck recognized then that if you offer something that the masses want, they will stick with you, usually come hell or high water. So Bismarck understood that democracy was not going to go away. The people were going to have power in the modern world. But the question was, how do you harness that power for the cause of a united nation and a growing empire? And Bismarck understood that in order to do that, you had to give the people, to some extent, what they wanted. You had to win them over to your side. And so Bismarck didn't really believe that all adult males should vote. But he used that as a way to buy off the people, in a sense, so that they would get behind his program and his agenda in Germany, and they did. Jemiah Peters, you put it also very well. Bismarck favored universal male suffrage because he wanted to create a united German empire. It reflected his style of realpolitik because with voting came power. His whole purpose was to gain and keep his power, and I think that's very true. Bismarck also says that there has to be change in the modern world, but the change has to happen slowly. And I asked Group 3 to explain why he thought that was the case. And Rita Reynolds, you had a good posting on this. It is in the interest of the great mass of people for change to happen slowly, so decisions will take place without dangerous acceleration of speed of the coach of state and without its destruction. If it moves too swiftly, history could repeat, and one could see dictatorship, despotism, or absolutism. In the end, all the masses want is order. And I think that's very insightful, that Bismarck, first of all, didn't want change to happen too fast, like it had in the French Revolution. because that would upset the coach of state. That's an image he uses. If it's going down the road too fast, it's going to turn over. But also, Bismarck understood that the people want order, and they will trade their liberty for order, as we've said many times in the course. This is a theme of the course. The people will trade their liberty for order. And so Bismarck believed that the people would go along with him as long as he gave them order, strength, and peace. So that was his goal, and a way for him to keep power. Question 3, I asked what was Bismarck's view of the free press and of elected parliaments, and in the answer posted by Group Chair D. Amber Shorter, the group said, quote, I think that we all agree that the free press and parliaments are necessary in modern society, so that criticism and honesty can be expressed. It can also be used as a way to deliver news quickly. Bismarck felt that without these two things, people or monarchs would do as they pleased. So Bismarck accepted that the press had to be free and that the people had to have the power to elect a parliament, a legislature. On the other hand, Bismarck thought that the power of the government and the power of the press and of parliament should be limited. He didn't think the press should be allowed to say or do everything that it wanted. And Ernest, you picked up on this very nicely. You said he also thought that both of them should have limits so as to not harm society. And so Bismarck really constructed a conservative kind of nationalism that allowed some change, but all in the name of preserving order and stability and building up the power of the German nation. And in later years, as we'll see, this concept of German nationalism in a very different vein would become extremely important to Adolf Hitler, who would recycle a lot of these ideas as he took over as the Nazi Führer of Germany. All right, good job, groups, and I appreciate your contributions. Looking forward to this next module's discussions.